Some years ago, I was with a group of college students doing an immersion program in the country of Mexico, and we were located in Cuernavaca. And I can recall very clearly one Saturday, we went to one of the barrios, and we were visiting some people. I speak Spanish. There was a leader who spoke Spanish. Most of the college students only knew a little bit. And so we were the interpreters. But we had a couple families we were visiting. And we were standing there talking to this woman who had several young children there. And she was in dialogue with the college students. She knew that they were students from a university in Ohio. I'm not sure she knew where Ohio was. But the students were asking questions, and we would translate, and then she would give answers. And sometimes she would ask questions of the students. But one of the students said, because he realized it was past noon, he said, "I am sorry we're taking so much of your time. You probably want to get busy preparing lunch for your kids. Are you going to have lunch soon?" And the woman just we translated it, and she kind of thought a little bit. She said, the oldest son was about 9 years old. She said, "My oldest son is at the mercado, the open air market. And he's selling chicles. Chicles are those little pieces of chewing gum. I think in English they're chiclets. But he's selling chicles." And she said, "If he has any luck and sells any, he'll come back with a few pesos and we can buy some tortillas and then we'll have lunch." And I translated that to the college students. By implication, that meant if he did not have luck and did not sell chicles, they might not be eating at all. And the students were kind of aghast, and they tried to express in different ways their concern for her. And one of them must have said something like, "Oh, we're so sorry for your condition, your living conditions, your poverty." And she paused, and she said something I think was the most profound statement I've heard most of my years. She said, and she looked right at the students, she said, "Yes, I don't have much. Our family doesn't have much. But I'm better off than you are." The students could not understand that. I mean, I translated, but they couldn't understand what she meant. I said, "Can you explain?" And she said, "I'm better off than you are because I have nothing standing between me and God. I rely on God. There is nothing else." Well, every time we would go out during the day and talk to people, in the evening we would always gather and have kind of a debriefing of the day. And I remember that evening the college students were still chewing on that. What does that mean? That she was better off than they were. Now, I can tell you, these college students were not rich, but they were in college. They had been able to travel to Mexico. So maybe by our standards, they were not rich. In her eyes, they had a lot. But she kept saying, "I'm better off than you are. There's nothing in my way." When we read this gospel passage today, I think we should have been jolted a little bit. These words are incredibly powerful. This is the Beatitudes in Luke's gospel, which is actually a little more blunt, a little more earthy, a little bit right down there where it's like a kick in the stomach, as opposed to the ones from Matthew's gospel. Because in Matthew's gospels it says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit." Here it just says, "Blessed are the poor." In Matthew's gospel, "Blessed are those who hunger for righteousness." Here it just says, "Blessed are those who are hungry." "Blessed are those who weep, and blessed are those who are hated." Wow, those are heavy words. Jesus said those words to people who were hungry, people who were probably on the edge of society. He said these words to people who were probably among the poorest that could be. By the way, at the time of Jesus, it was something like about 80% of all the people in Palestine were what we would call poor. So it was a high percentage to begin with. But he's basically saying there's something about poverty. But what makes you blessed to be poor? And I'm not going to romanticize it and say, oh, the noble poor. No, that's not it. But what this woman said so clearly, in her poverty, she had nothing in the way. She could rely on God. By the way, I don't think she wanted to be poor, and I do think she wanted to be able to feed lunch to her kids. But sometimes you have to question, what do we rely on? Every one of us. What are we relying on? Oh, yes, we're here. We have faith, so we are relying on God. But we also probably rely on the fact that we have a home, we have family, we have friends. We rely on the fact that we're educated or have talents or skills. We rely on our jobs. We rely on that portfolio and that investment that we've been making, whatever it might be. We have to do that. That's true. But where does God fit in? Does our faith allow us to rely first on God? And that's why the woman said she's got it easier, because she didn't have to work as hard as we do to remind herself to trust God first. I love the image from the first reading, that powerful image that it's like the tree that is planted by the stream of water. It puts out its roots into the water. And even if it goes through a drought and everything else is drying up, that tree survives because its roots are being watered and the leaves are still green. That's the person of faith. That's the kind of person who says, I rely on the Lord first. Yes, God gave me all these other things as well, but I rely on the Lord first. I remember years ago talking to a priest. He has long since been gone, a very good pastor, and he served in inner city, but he also served in suburbia. And he was making a comment. He said, people always say to me, because I'm working in inner city, how hard it is, what a hard ministry. And he said, yeah, as a pastor, it's hard to pay our bills. There's no question about it. But he said, suburbia was harder because the people were good people. The people cared about their parish. They cared about God. But they had so many other distractions. I wonder how many distractions we have in the course of every day. Blessed are the poor. Blessed are they who are hungry. Blessed are those who can be like the woman who says, I've got it better because I can rely on the Lord. Nothing gets in the way.